4 for 4.
That was definitely supposed to be a picture.
You thought it was supposed to be a picture. I got you. It's a video. Ha, voice changer.
So if you tuned into my Q&A, then you already know that this is going to be the love story that you all requested. But once I'm ready, I got y'all. We met in the 9th grade at Creekside High School. We had multiple classes together, and he was a more quiet student, like more to himself, and I was like, I'm here. Like, I was the one who was like suspended, right up, ISS, get her out of here. And so I would always pick with him, like not pick on him, but I would mess with him. Like, you did your work? Let me see your homework. You did it. You did this. You did that. Like, just like picking fun. So it went from that to us like starting to realize like, okay, we got a little chemistry. Okay, like I like you. I like you too. So just, you know, he was like a very, very key point. Key part of my high school experience, even though we only were around each other in 9th grade, because I was at a place where I didn't really know what I wanted. I didn't really know who I was, and I think that we all go through that in high school. But for me, it was a little overwhelming, to be honest. And so moving forward, it was like we just had a very, very, very tight bond. Like, now that I'm saying it out loud and I'm really thinking back on it, it's kind of intense to say that all of this occurred in the 9th grade. Like, we were like, I talked to him about everything, he talked to me about everything. And so when the end of the year came and they were like, yeah, we doing rezoning and you going to Langston Hughes, I was like,
I don't need him. It's all right. I feel wonderful. I feel fine. You will not get one tear out of me tonight. I can't believe he did this. This really hurts.
me? I'm going to Langston Hughes? I don't know. I got a man at Creekside though. So how? Anyway, so I had my little meltdown about that. Told him like, I'm not going to this school next year, so we might as well call it quits now. One, because like I said, my mom was not going for that. And two, because my mama was always, I was always in trouble, and my mom was always taking my phone. She didn't care if she paid $200 for the phone bill. Like, if I was in trouble, she was taking the phone for the whole school year. Not a week, not 2 weeks or a month, but the whole school year. So there was no keeping in contact. So we would try to keep in contact, but eventually with me not having a phone and, you know, him going through phones and all types of stuff, we just lost contact. Fast forward. And me and Zay didn't have any conversation until 2018. Within those 10 years, we did end up following each other on social media. But I do believe that it was one of those, like, people you may know kind of situations, or whatever the word is, the reference is on Instagram. Because at the time, Instagram was, like, on the rise, okay? So we ended up following each other, but we didn't have any communication. And we just had each other on social media for all of that time. And he was never really active on social media anyway, so obviously we didn't talk or anything. So I ended up hitting him up a handful of months after Chris passed, because I had just committed to my work completely, because I was in a place where I felt like I don't have the resources, the energy, the time, the strength, the willpower, anything to really grieve and heal the way that I'm supposed to. So I'm going to focus on my work. Like, if I'm completely divulged into my work, then like I can't feel anything else. I can't process anything else. And so I ended up hitting Zay up because he had made, I want to say second class. I think he was a second class at the time, or third class. I don't know. He was more than what I was. I was a seaman at E3. And so I was like, okay, let me get focused. Let me figure out, like, if he has any tips on how to pick up rank faster and how I could do what it is that I'm trying to do. And so that's how the conversation started. It was all about work, work, work. And eventually it got to a point of him like saying, like, you know, I saw what you went through. I'm so sorry. And we started to talk about that. We started to talk about Chris as a person. We started to talk about high school. We started to talk about times that he and Chris had met. And I didn't even know that they had met at any point in life. But that's how small the world is. And so moving forward, the conversation just became more regular, and it became more of like him checking in on me, him making sure I was okay. Then I started to become committed to his life and asking him questions like, hey, are you doing okay? How's this going? Because he was going through some stuff as well as me. And I don't know, it got to a point of I started to look forward to our conversation because I hadn't had any meaningful, serious conversation with anyone since Chris. I started to like express things to him about me not feeling the same since Chris passed, and me not really feeling like I was, I don't know, even healed enough to even process the possibility of anything. So all of these things he knew, all of these things, I was a very, very open book with him. And he was actually another very, very key component in my life that pushed me to finally getting help, finally accepting the possibility of different things and opening up. It became a very active part in my counseling, in my grieving, in my healing process. And so this went on for, I want to say, a little over a year. And then we got into like how we were feeling, and he told me how he felt, I told him how I felt. And I told him like I was so scared of this because I was like, do I really feel this way, or am I feeling this way because you're the first person since Chris to make me feel this way? And the first person who I just felt like I could trust and I could be open with about this process. It is an everyday journey, so it didn't stop there. It's still currently, I still go through my days, I still have my times, and he is still to this day that same person who got the glue and was like, okay, we're gonna put this piece with this piece, and we're gonna put this piece with this piece, and we're gonna get you back to 100%, no matter how long no matter how long it takes. I finally got to a place of deciding that I was ready to try to take leave at home, to come back home for leave. So initially I could not come back to Atlanta because I was just so afraid of how I was going to feel, because I hadn't been back to Atlanta since Chris's funeral. I hadn't been back, I hadn't stepped foot off a plane in the state of Georgia, because I was so afraid of like how I was gonna feel. Every single place, like me and Chris were together for so long to where every single place had memories of, I remember when we did this here, I remember when we went there, and that was a phobia for me. So I ended up finally coming home, and it was an emotional journey. It was ups and downs and everything else. And the first time I came home, we didn't see each other. The second time I saw him, but maybe for like a day. Not even a whole day, just like a few hours. And then the next time I was coming home, we were getting married. So what? Y'all was getting what? Yeah, we was getting married. We was getting married. We just kept it to ourselves because it was our decision to make. Not only that, but it was something that was so sacred, and it was something that was such a sensitive thing for he and I both. And so when we made our decision, we went with it, and we trusted the process, and we had faith. And let me back up a little bit because I did skip over a few things. So in the process of me going back and forth from Texas to Atlanta and Atlanta to Texas and all types of stuff, we had a lot of conversation. Now all of these conversations were very, very serious. They were a lot of like catching up on things and figuring out what it was that we wanted. I was very transparent with him about not really being ready, but I knew that there was something different about him. Within the time of Chris passing and the time of me and Zay getting married, there was a lot of people that came into my life and were trying to talk to me, and were trying to date, and were trying to do all kind of stuff. And I went through the not being ready, to being lonely, to not want to be lonely anymore, to all types of stuff. And in that window, Zay was the only person that stood out. Now, not because, oh, we had history, but because there were things that I had only been told by Chris. Like, no one else would have known that Zay would end up saying to me. And it would scare the living daylights out of me. Like, it would scare me. And the reason why it would scare me is not just because I had only been told this by Chris, but because when Chris passed, I was asked so many times, like, would I ever remarry? Like, would I ever go that route and get that serious with somebody ever again? And my answer was always no. But then I was like, I'm not going to be like that. I'm still so young. And I said that if I were to be serious with somebody else, I would have to know that I know that I know, and have pretty much a sign slapped me upside my head that said, Chris and God came together and made this person for me and delivered this person to me. And that's why I knew that with Zay it was something different, because like I said, there were things that he would say to me that only Chris had ever said to me, and there was no way for him to have known that. There were things that Zay would do in ways that he would make me feel that I had only ever experienced with Chris. And so when we started to talk about those things, there were a lot of times that it would scare the crap out of me. I would hang up the phone. I would bust out into tears. I would not talk to him for days at a time. It was a lot. It was a lot, because it was like, even though I asked for the sign, I was not really ready for the signs. And then when I finally started to open up to him about it, the way that he handled it and the way that he received it was something that I had never experienced before. And also when I looked at him in comparison to the people who were trying to talk to me and trying to go that route with me, it was something so significant about him, which was that he completely embraced the process. There was not like you need to expedite this, you need to get over it. Like, he completely 150% supported me through every single step. No matter if it was me pulling away from him, if it was me drawing completely into him, if it was me getting a tattoo in memory of Chris, if it was me posting Chris, if it was whatever the case was, he was so committed to the process. And even when I would push him away because I felt like this is too much, you need somebody who's ready, I'm not ready. And I remember even going to my counselor, like, I'm talking to this guy and I just felt like I'm not ready, and I'm putting him in a bad position, and he's not really ready for this. And I remember her asking me, how do you know what he's ready for and what he can handle? You can't make decisions for other people. If he is ready for it and if he's showing you this, because she did ask me also, what had he done that made me feel like he couldn't handle this? And what has he done that made me feel like he wasn't ready for this? And so everything was everything. Basically, everything was everything. Everything was on the up and up. And I started to have realization after realization about him. And I started to feel so close to him and so drawn to him. And it just was like the universe was completely aligned and set properly and moved every door out the way and every obstacle out the way for us to be able to come into each other. And now we have been married for a year and almost a month. We're a little shy of a month, a year and a month. And when I say it has been such a journey, it has been such an experience, and I don't regret anything that we went through. I don't regret any of the ups and downs, because the way that I was before him, going through the process of everything that I went through, and the way that I am now with him, hands down, an experience worth living through again. Even though I wouldn't want to experience that hurt again, if I had this kind of reward, I would do it all over again, because I have never felt so whole. Like, I've never felt so like rejuvenated. Like, with Chris, I felt whole and I felt complete and I felt like he made me make sense. But there was a lot of work on myself that had not been done, that I have done because of Chris's passing, because of the things that him passing brought up, and that feeling, and all types of stuff. So when I went through the counseling, I didn't go through just counseling because I was grieving. I went through counseling because I needed to figure me out, and I needed to heal, and I needed to become one whole individual, one whole person, before I even considered the possibility of uniting with someone else. And it has been a hell of a journey. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it has been a beautiful, beautiful journey, a beautiful, beautiful process. And I am so excited for like what's next to come for us. And I'm excited to be able to talk to other couples and to be able to talk to other women who've experienced being a widow, who've experienced that type of loss. It's something that like it leaves me speechless because of the things that we went through, because of how he loved me and how I loved him, and the fact that I was even able to love after feeling like I was completely broken. So I'm not gonna keep babbling on and on and on. I do want it to also be inspiration to people who have been through that. So if you have been through anything similar, and loss doesn't just mean a person, it doesn't just mean a relationship, it doesn't just mean by death, it's not exclusive to anything. So if you have anything going on like that, please feel free to hit me up. Please feel free to leave it in the comments. Please feel free to slide in my DMs. Like, you know, do what you do. Do what you do, because I got you, and I'm gonna be here, and we're gonna work through it, and we're gonna figure it out. Please give this video a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and comment. What I say? Give this video a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and comment. And if you haven't already, please ring that notification bell. Thank you guys for tuning in.